If you're anything like me, you spend way too much time on Pinterest. I mostly scroll through memes, but every now and then I do look up and find some different DIYs and how-to projects. So a long time ago, I was scrolling through and I saw this recipe for cloud slime. It was 2 ingredients, and I pinned it and then never tried it. A week or so ago, I was bored and I said, you know what, I'm gonna try it. And I did, and it went so well, and I made myself a cloud in a jar. And it's just this fluffy cloud slime dough, whatever you wanna call it, but it's only 2 ingredients. Now, I've done slime before, and I'm usually not particularly successful with it, but this one went so well that I said, you know what, I'm gonna gather up a bunch of really simple recipes, a lot of these are only 2 ingredients, on how to make different clays and doughs and slimes. Also, since this one went so well for me, I have only tested this one slime. So hopefully they're all gonna work. My hope is that all of these are gonna work super awesome. And the best part is they're super cheap to make. Most of these only require 2 ingredients. There's a couple that are a little more involved towards the end, but the ingredients that are required, you can pick them up at the dollar store. I got some of mine at Dollar Tree, but you can actually find stuff even cheaper at like Walmart or Target. So anyways, I'm going to be testing and showing you in this video 8 dough/slime/clay recipes. Also, stick around to the very end of the video because there might just be a bonus 2 ingredient recipe at the very end. All right, let's get into this. All right, first recipe we are making is cloud dough, and this recipe comes from Southern Plate Blog. For this one, you will need conditioner. I picked this up for $1 at the dollar store, and cornstarch. Oh. You'll also want a container to mix this in and some things to measure. This recipe is really simple. It is a 1-to-2 ratio of conditioner to cornstarch. So for mine, I'm going to use a 1/2 cup of conditioner and 1 cup of cornstarch. All right, 1 cup of cornstarch. All right, we're gonna measure it out with the 1/4 cup, that'll make it a little easier. We're gonna call that 1/4, 1/2 cup, 3/4, and 1 cup. So it's a 2-to-1 ratio. So if we have 1 cup of cornstarch, we need a 1/2 cup of conditioner. Also, be careful with what scent you pick because it will smell very strongly like whatever scent you pick. So I went with this coconut one. If you want to get it kind of even out, just kind of take it and jiggle it like that a little bit. And we'll call that a 1/2 cup. And we're gonna dump it into our bowl. I've got a spatula here to help me. And now all we have to do is mix. This one can take a little while to mix, so just keep mixing until you don't have clumps of cornstarch. I like to kind of chop the cornstarch into the conditioner. I find that helps a little bit too. Really mush and mash it. Once it gets to about to this stage, I will start mushing with my hands. And since it's got conditioner in here, it'll actually make your hands feel really good and soft. The more conditioner you add, the stickier it'll be. And the more cornstarch you add, the more crumblier it will be. So if it's too sticky, add a little more cornstarch. If it's too crumbly, add a little more conditioner. And here is our cloud dough. I love this recipe because I get great results every single time. And it's so easy to clean up because you just wash your hands and it will dissolve the conditioner and rinse away the cornstarch. You can also shape this dough a little bit. It does tend to ooze out after you leave it sitting. But we can make a little snowman here. Snowman! Whoop. Our next recipe is really similar, but instead of making cloud dough, we are making snow dough. And this comes from the Applicious teacher blog. I don't know if I'm saying that right. All these blogs and articles where I found these recipes will be linked down below, so make sure to go check those out and give those blogs some love. But I'm really sorry if I'm not saying the name correctly. So this one is going to be a 1-to-6 ratio between conditioner and baking soda. So I'm gonna start by adding a cup of baking soda. So we've got a cup of baking soda, and now we need anywhere from a 1/6 to a 1/4 cup of conditioner. I've only got a 1/4 cup here, and if you do the conversion to tablespoons, it's really goofy. So I'm just gonna eyeball this and fill this about 2/3 full. Again, lightly tapping it will help it to settle so you can see exactly how full it is. That looks pretty good to me. We're gonna dump it in here, use our spatula to get it all out of the measuring cup, and then we're gonna start mixing this in. Sometimes the conditioner likes to build up on the spatula, so make sure you scrape it off every now and then so that way you can get the baking soda to mix in with it instead of just stirring with a big clump of conditioner on your spoon. So the more you stir, the more you will feel this thicken up. So once you've got it pretty mixed, you'll see that you end up with this nice crumbly texture, and it really does feel like snow, and it actually feels cold, which is really cool. So it stays pretty crumbly like snow does, but you can still shape it and mold it. This is one you will definitely want to keep in a container. This one's going down in my books as another success. The next recipe we're trying is moon sand, and this recipe comes from the Little Learning Club. And for this one, we need flour and baby oil, and we need an 8-to-1 ratio of our ingredients, of flour to baby oil. So I'm going to do mine with 2 cups of flour and a 1/4 cup of baby oil. I'm using a 1/3 cup so I can scoop in there, but we need a total of 2 cups in here. 1/3 cup, 2/3, 1 cup, 1 1/3 cup, 1 2/3 cup, and 2 cups. And then we need to add our baby oil. Again, I picked this up at Dollar Tree, and for this we're going to do a 1/4 cup. This looks really weird so far, not gonna lie, but I have hope that once we mix it, it'll turn out great. I'm gonna mix with a spoon this time just to mix it up. Oh, get it, mix it up, ha ha ha. This also smells really weird because it smells like I'm in the kitchen cooking, but also like I'm in a baby's nursery changing their diapers. That's just kind of a weird combo, if we're being honest. All right, I'm gonna try mixing with my hand. I'm honestly wondering if I messed up this recipe because this is not what I was expecting, but maybe it'll all turn out okay. I think I'm gonna add a smidgen more baby oil to my mixture because I think this is probably how it's supposed to turn out, but I kind of wish it was a little bit clumpier because there's a lot of it that's not really mixed in at all. So I'll mix that in good here. Okay, so I think this turned out the way it was supposed to because moon sand, you're supposed to be able to compact it into firm shapes, but then you can kind of just crumble it away. And that's what this does. It definitely feels very different than the original moon sand, but still I'm gonna give this one an A+ because it did turn out the way that I think it was supposed to, and it was so simple and so cheap. Our next recipe is a classic one, and we are going to be making oobleck. So for this we need just cornstarch and water, and we're going to have a 2 parts cornstarch to 1 part water. So for me, I'm going to do a cup of cornstarch and a 1/2 cup of water. And this is the one I made a mess with, the cornstarch, so we're gonna scoop it out with the 1/4 cup, 1/4 cup, 1/2 cup, 3/4 cup, and a 1 cup. So we've got our cup of cornstarch, and now it's time to add our 1/2 cup of water. I am gonna add some food coloring to this one just because I can. And really, you can add food coloring to just about any of these. But if you do want to add food coloring, it's best if you add it to whatever the liquid component of the recipe is and get it dissolved in that and then mix it in. It just mixes a lot better that way. And then pour it into the cornstarch container. But get something and start stirring. You want to break up all the clumps of the cornstarch. And as you stir, you're gonna see it start to get really thick and hard to move. And then as you stop applying pressure, it'll get really liquidy. And that's what is so much fun about oobleck. This one can be a little tricky to mix up just because it clumps right away. Play around, break up the clumps, and have fun with it. Mine's not fully mixed up yet. It's a little tricky to mix up because it does start clumping pretty quick. So just keep mixing as best you are able. If your mixture is too firm, just add a little more water. And if it's too runny, add a little more cornstarch. But again, when you push on it, it's gonna feel solid, but if you just slowly go into it, it's gonna feel liquidy. Because science. See how much of this I can pick up all at once. If I keep squeezing it, it's gonna stay firm and solid and it's not gonna drip too much, but then the minute I stop squeezing it, super awesome, right? This one naturally gets a 10 out of 10 because you can never go wrong with some good old-fashioned oobleck. This next recipe is the last of our 2-ingredient recipes, and also I gotta be honest, it's kind of cheating, but this is actually a simple product. It is called Snow to Go, but I'm gonna show it in this video because in the worst case scenario that all these other recipes are not successful for you, I can guarantee that this will work because it's just a product that you mix with some water and you make fake snow, and it's really easy to use, and I'll have a link for this down below. But this stuff is really fun as well. You do 1 teaspoon, you have a nice little scooper, doesn't look like very much, and then we're gonna add a 1/4 cup of water, and then you'll end up with snow. And this stuff is seriously fun to play with, and it actually feels cold to the touch, and it's just light and fluffy and feels like snow. If all 7 other recipes in this video fail you, this is one that I can guarantee will work. And by the way, I'm not sponsored by them, but I do have my Amazon affiliate link down below in the description if you want to check this out. This is one my grandparents found when they were out of town, and they brought it back for us, and we have made so much of this, ha ha ha. And the container's still mostly full, so that's pretty cool that it does last pretty good. And it's reusable because once it dries out, you can just add more water and it will re-expand. All right, this next recipe, I gotta be honest with you, I'm a little scared of it. We are making basic slime, and I'm scared of it for several reasons. First of all, I have struggled to make slime in the past. It does not always go very well for me. Second of all, this recipe comes from a Target ad on Pinterest, so who knows how legit this recipe is. It's pretty basic, so I feel like it should work, but it's hard to say. And lastly, the proportions that they call for 6 ounces of glue. I've got a 5-ounce container. So I'm going to try to do everything by half, but that means I need to get 3 ounces of this, 5/8 tablespoons of that, because that's super easy, and then a 1/4 tablespoon of baking soda. So it's glue, contact solution, baking soda. Let's try this. First, we're going to add our glue, and what I'm going to do is scientifically guesstimate 3 ounces. This is like 3 3/4 tall, so I gotta divide that by 5, and I'm just gonna mark it as roughly an ounce. So I marked the side to divide it into roughly 5 ounces, and I'm gonna pour out the top 3. All right, there's no going back, you guys. I've only got a little bit. Okay, we can squeeze a good bit more out. Oh, that was perfect. Then I need 5/8 tablespoons. So that's really close to a 1/2 tablespoon, which would be 1½ teaspoons. So my thinking is I'm going to do 1 2/3 teaspoons. That's 1 teaspoon, 1 1/3 teaspoon, 1 2/3 teaspoon. Okay, lastly, we're gonna add a teaspoon of baking soda. It's about a teaspoon. And now I'm going to mix. You know what this needs? This needs some food coloring. We're gonna make some blue slime. All right, I'm going in with my hands. Oh, this feels kind of good actually. Ah, it's sticking. Y'all, this might be the first time I've successfully made slime on my own. Thank you, Target ad. If you follow the 3 ingredients that I just did, it will turn out fabulous. This is so legit. I have never made such successful slime before. All right, this was a smashing success. Not gonna lie, that was really simple. All right, this deserves its own baby jar container. I don't know if the whole thing will fit. We might have to divide it into 2. Oh, I think it's gonna all fit. Look at that, that's perfection right there, you guys. That's beautiful. All right, that was really successful. We'll see if this next one can top it. This is a no glue slime, and I found this on Savvy Naturalista, and it looked really cool, the recipe she made. Hopefully I can do it as well as she did. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna use soap, cornstarch, and baby oil to make a slime. So we start with a 1/3 cup of hand soap. This is just like a Walmart brand, I think. 1/3 cup, and that actually looks really pretty. We'll mix this one with a spatula, so I'll use that to get the rest of the soap out of here. And then we're going to mix in cornstarch. Okay, and so she says in her video that we want to add 7 to 10 heaping tablespoons of cornstarch, but the thing is we want to keep adding cornstarch until it's mixed well and then just a little bit beyond into a crumbly state. Tablespoon number 1, we'll mix it in. Tablespoon number 2, tablespoon 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, I think we're getting to that stage where then we need to add another tablespoon or 2 to make it crumbly, and then we'll be ready to add the baby oil. Okay, so you obviously have no way of knowing this, but I actually paused the video because my camera battery was about to die and I went and got myself some lunch. So anyways, this has actually been sitting for just a little bit, so I'm hoping that doesn't cause any problems. And I believe we were at 7 tablespoons of cornstarch. Another tablespoon. So we're gonna add 1 more, bringing my total of tablespoons of cornstarch to 9, and then we're gonna add the baby oil. Okay, so it's 2 to 4 tablespoons of oil. So this is 1 tablespoon. Ooh, this is kind of cool. Definitely getting creamier. Okay, we're gonna do another tablespoon of baby oil. This is definitely very interesting so far, I will say that. All right, I'm going in with my hands now, and let's see how this is gonna turn out. Oh my, this is so sticky. This honestly reminds me of the Oobleck somewhat. It's like a combination of Oobleck and the cloud dough. Okay, maybe I added too much at this point. Well, like I said, this is definitely cool. This isn't, I mean, this still falls in the category of slimes, but it's not quite like a slime you would make with glue. But it's actually really cool because it's almost like an Oobleck clay or an Oobleck dough, which I think is really cool. Like, look at that. I'm not sure if I even made it right. You know, it still made something pretty cool. So we'll give this one a gold star. All right, it is time for our 8th and final recipe, and this is the most involved one. This is going to be just a classic Play-Doh recipe, and I got this from a crafty video on Facebook. For this, we are going to use flour, salt, cream of tartar, baby oil, and hot water. First of all, we need to get 2 cups of flour. And I'm gonna scoop with my 1/2 cup so I don't make a mess. 1/2 cup, 1 cup, 1½ cup, 2 cups of flour. Next, we need to add a cup of salt. Then we need 2 tablespoons of cream of tartar. We'll call that 1 tablespoon, and 2 tablespoons. Then we need 2 tablespoons of baby oil, 1 tablespoon and 2 tablespoons. And then lastly, I've got 1½ cups of hot water. And I just got my hot water from the tap. I let it run on high, and then it's time to mix it all together. And this seems way runny. Well, it's more like soup than dough. All right, we're gonna add a little bit more of the cream of tartar and a little bit more flour to see if we can salvage this. Also, what even is cream of tartar? I honestly have no idea. All right, let's try mixing this in and see if it makes a difference. This is not dough, this is not Play-Doh. All right, now it's thickening. Okay, I just added like another teaspoon or so of cream of tartar, and then I'm mixing with my hand. Actually, it's kind of fun to play with my hand, but you definitely can't mold anything out of it. It does have an amazing texture so far. All right, every time I add more flour, it gets better. So we're just gonna keep dumping in more flour. This is actually starting to feel pretty good. All right, we've got some pretty good Play-Doh going on here. I think I'm gonna add just a smidgen more flour, mix it in, and then I'm gonna add some food coloring. Make this one green. Do this one yellow. This is so pretty. So basically, if you try this recipe at home, the trick is just start with the basic recipe, and then when you go, wow, this is really runny, add a little bit more of the cream of tartar. I don't know if that actually made a difference, but that's what I did. So add a little more cream of tartar, and then just keep dumping in flour, mix it, dump in flour, mix it, dump in flour, mix it, and you'll feel it slowly start to get thicker, and then you will hit this amazing Play-Doh texture. You will know when you are there, and it will be solid, but still able to spread apart, kind of have that dough kind of stretch look to it, you know, kind of like Play-Doh does, or dough for bread. Look at how amazing these are. Just awesome. So there you have it. Here are 8 recipes for easy slimes and doughs. I gotta say that I was really impressed with a lot of these. I especially love those first few that were 2 ingredients. That is always awesome to me. Turned out really well. I amazed myself that I successfully made slime, so yay for me. And also that last Play-Doh recipe, I've tried variations of that for years, so I'm excited that I finally got it to work for me. So make sure if you enjoyed this video, you leave a thumbs up. Also comment and let me know which of these recipes you tried and which ones you like and which ones didn't turn out so well for you. I'd love to hear how this project goes for you. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Happy crafting! Bonus recipe, cornstarch and baby oil. I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of cornstarch and a teaspoon of baby oil. And a 2nd teaspoon of baby oil. At this point, I don't really know what I'm doing. So is this recipe about to stumble across greatness? Well, I don't know about greatness, but it's definitely a unique texture. I love it and I hate it.